Yeah, all good. All good. Just gone for a nice, peaceful evening walk here, and it's a beautiful late spring evening. Had a bit of rain, and it's just freshened everything up. You know, when you get that nice, fresh, that fresh smell of rain in spring, it's a nice, fresh evening. And I was doing a bit of reflecting on a convo I had with a mate of mine recently about some of the lessons that life teaches us. And this evening, in about an hour and a half or so, I'm going to do a Zoom session with the Australasian Soccer Academy. I do one generally every fortnight for 40 minutes or so, and we sort of look at preparing mentally for football and just general well-being and educational exercises, and over Zoom. And yeah, I sort of reflecting on my own life, going for a walk and a convo I had, and I was thinking that one of the things I learned, that one of the hardest lessons we learn through football is learn to sort of let go, and let go of a bad performance, letting go of a mistake. The team, if you move on to a new team, the team doesn't offer you a contract, an opportunity, and maybe sometimes it's even letting go of the version of ourselves we thought we were going to become. And I mentioned before that in my own journey, I was just a sort of street footballer up until about, say, 18, 19. I only played like up until then for the occasional local league team. And 18, 19, probably 19-ish, started playing for state league in Sydney, and sort of from there I had the opportunity to go over to Europe and some trials and play a bit of semi-pro, and end up sort of working with individuals from professional clubs and semi-pro clubs, physically preparing them, and then I would end up working in a team environment, pro and semi-pro, and these days, the last few years, I've been sort of lecturing at uni, and that's only part of the story, so to speak. But it just sort of goes to show sometimes, throughout life, all the best laid plans, we might have the best laid plans, and who knows, it's one of them really, and it's easy sometimes to replay moments. You think back in your life, and what if I had taken that chance, and what if I had taken a different path, a different club, or if I trained harder, or if things worked out differently, and got a break here or there. But football, like life, it sort of keeps moving. It's you keep moving forward, and it was part of the reason I sort of do the sessions at Australasian Soccer Academy. From a personal perspective, I sometimes think, I wonder what I could have achieved had I had that sort of structure and support, rather than sort of street football and trying to make my way, doing a bit of semi-pro and that sort of stuff. And look, there's no regrets. I'm sort of, happy with the way things have gone for me, and I wouldn't change a thing looking back on things. But you can't help thinking sometimes. There's sort of pivotal moments, so to speak. I mean, I end up career in academia now, and keep my hand in the game in sort of football. But the whole point is that you can get in situations where there's been disappointments where I've been on sort of, when I was younger, you'd go on trials and think it would have been great to have been taken on type thing, and it's a missed opportunity, or opportunities come up and they don't go your way, and I suppose the same thing applies to life. Sometimes we hold on to even personal relationships longer than we probably should. We stay in situations probably longer than we should type thing, and look, I'm not making suggestions, I'm not giving an advice, I don't do any of that, and I'm just reflecting on my own journey. I know everyone's on their own sort of journey, Sometimes the dream doesn't go the way you want it to go. But I learned that there's got to be a point where you accept what is. And when I say accept what is, by the way, I don't say accept what is like resignation. It's okay, well, that's, resign to the situation. What I mean by that, if something doesn't go your way type thing, it's about, okay, you don't make a trial, you don't get the contract, for example, you don't win the trophy, you're out with an injury. And what I'm referring to there is that you do all you can within your control. There are things out of your control. And the things out of your control, there's not a great deal you can do about only than influence them, best you can by, turning up and doing the best you can at the time, the best you knew. And I think that sort of acceptance for me creates a space for the next chapter. Sometimes growth comes not from sort of holding on tight. It's like the old, analogy I came across one time. I don't know who to attribute it to, but it talks about is that there's somebody walking in the wind and rain. They've got a coat on, they're holding it really, really tight. And the more the wind blows, the heavier the rain goes, the more they hold the coat tighter, until the sun comes out and they gladly take the sort of coat off type of thing. And I don't know who attribute that to, but I read it one time. It's like growth coming from not sort of holding on. And it takes a lot of courage to let go. But if I've learned one thing, a really important thing that I've applied to my life, personally and professionally, from football journeys, football teaches that setbacks are part of the journey. No player, there's probably going to be very few players that get everything that they want, so to speak. And no career follows a straight line, a straight trajectory. And for me, sometimes it's sort of like the most important step forward begins when we stop looking backwards, so to speak. Because when we let go of what we think was supposed to happen, we start creating room for what can happen next. And just sort of reflecting subjectively on my own journey as you go along, throughout life. And you learn these lessons in life. It doesn't mean you sort of stop caring, obviously. You're not suggesting that we sort of stop caring about certain situations and that sort of don't go our way. But I suppose what it does mean is that when you sort of create that acceptance, not resignation, that acceptance that it is what it is, and it's sort of time to move forward. You create space for something new. And sometimes that something new, it's not better, it's not worse. Perhaps it's the path we're meant to follow. Who knows? And that's just my take on things. It's always great to hear other people's take on things.